Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fresh Paradigms featuring small business in COVID times. I'm your host, Teresa. I will be chatting with those who dare to create or adopt their small business in these unsettling times and give us inspiration. Today, we will be discovering a small business created by Andrew Noble, honor of
It's me.
Gems of Drew. Let's welcome Andrew Noble. Yay!
Thanks, guys. Yes, the clap. I love it. That's so nice.
How are you, Andrew?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
You're
Just been
feeling
like,
good, feeling good. That's
yeah, just
great,
trying to
that's
figure it
great.
all out. Hi again.
I'm stop.
Thanks for being patient.
Back
Yeah.
in 2017, you gave me a handcrafted bracelet designed by you. You
Yes.
remember that?
I
Yeah.
do. I do.
Yes. And
Yeah.
while we were chatting, you told me someday I will start a business on my love of gemstone.
Mm-hmm.
This
With you,
is the
look, she
one.
has it. I love how you have it taped on there. That's amazing. I remember making that. Wow,
Yes.
eh? It's almost like years old. Wow. I love
Yes.
that so much.
2017. End of
That's awesome.
2017. It was like a New Year's gift for me. Yes.
Yes.
So that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 years later, in COVID times, you
Strange
are
times.
opening, yeah, you are opening your business. And I find this
Yes.
so inspiring, really. I find this so inspiring. And I'm just so excited to share your story with everyone. Really, really. I'm just so excited.
Thank
So
you. Think
let
positive. I love it.
let's start our chat. How did
Yeah.
you how did this idea of starting the business come about?
It definitely started with like experimenting, like gifting things to people. When I Originally, I started with collecting my own jewelry accessory pieces that I connected with. So I made it a thing anytime I like traveled somewhere, whether it was in the GTA or like anywhere I would go, I would always kind of just look for a piece that I connected with, something that represents my style or just like a personal connection that uh, can be kind of shown outward a little bit. And I branched from that idea, but the main thing that got me into doing bracelets was I was really looking for a blue tone uh, accessory piece, whether it was like a bracelet or like a pendant stone specifically. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't find the right blue stone, and literally like anywhere I went, I was always connected to blue, the tones of blue, which I kind of reflect a lot in my personal art and stuff too, because it kind of like has like I believe in the psychology of color. So it kind of has like calming, kind of like it can be bold. It just has like a undertone that I liked. So I stumbled upon like bracelet gemstone beads, and then I started like experimenting with those for myself. And then I started buying other pieces that I wanted to work with combinations of colors, and yeah, then I started like visuals as I was doing them to kind of make them like collective pieces, to make like collections that related to like parts of nature, like film, even like my areas of art kind of just like jumped around, and then I started getting like certain vibes for certain pieces, and yeah, then I started gifting them, and then people were kind of inquiring, like families and friends. Uh, People would ask them, and then some of like the feedback I would get, they'd be like, "You should start something like an Etsy shop or something." So I decided now at this time, after like almost 2 years of like coming out with like the brand, really honing in on my side time from work full time, and I just started jumping in on it right now. So I'm taking it in like stride, and it's new.
Was there any particular person that got you started with this? Who inspired
um,
you to start this business?
it's definitely like it's kind of collaborative. Like for myself, like I was saying, I started collecting my own pieces. So I'll just show you kind of an idea,
Sure,
like of like I have some eclectic pieces. I'll kind of angle it. Sorry, bear with me.
sure.
So I have a variety of things on this tray that I started connecting with. So I had things that were kind of inspired by like ancient Egypt, the ancient times, and stuff like that. And I just kind of went from that point personally first, and then I had
Oh,
some people that would ask me uh, about making something for them. And then when birthdays and stuff would come, I just jumped
uh-huh.
in on getting something ready for people that I was close with and stuff, and went from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why the name Gems of Drew?
That was something that took some time because I originally had a different idea related to like gem soaps, kind of giving like a little side tour thing for that. But I thought of like an overview of a collective, and I just narrowed it down as a spin-off for like these my name, first of all,
Uh-huh.
Andrew, and then just gemstones or anything I made was going to be considered kind of like a piece of jewelry or an archive to a collective. So that's kind of where I got that idea. And then I just came up with like my own branding, designed it, as well as like taking my own photographs and making it cohesive, which took
Wow.
all like a good amount of time on the side. And then I jumped in on it.
Wow. It's
So
a
yeah,
one-man show?
yes, it's mostly all. I'd say like 95%. Sometimes I'll have like my partner that will help here and there, like gathering some stuff if I'm at work or something, and I'm like I need you to go grab this or to order this quickly for me and stuff like that. But mostly it's a one man show.
Wow, wow, that's so
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Wow. Can you describe to us your creative process? Uh, as I listen to you, you started with inspiration. Can you
Yeah.
describe your creative process from inspiration to creation? Ha-
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, I kind of take inspiration from a variety of things around me or the things I kind of look into personally. So nature is definitely a big thing, as sometimes overrated as that may seem. It's definitely something I pay attention to, the connection of animals to plants to just like things that are sometimes misunderstood, like mythological creatures even. I bounce around with ideas. Even like snakes and spiders, like weird things like that that people would be like really alarmed with at first. I kind of connected to the misunderstood things and knowing that there's some kind of story to tell. And yeah, as well as like different elements from like film, just having something that would tell its own story a little bit. So and then from that point, I kind of take like bracelet swatches. And what I mean by that is I would kind of pick up bracelets, it's like the beads that I would buy, and try and like kind of combine them together to kind of see
Uh-huh.
if it's like visuals that um, kind of will tell a story. So sometimes like I did a dove piece, a dove collective piece yesterday,
Uh-huh.
where I just picked up stones and I actually made it like yesterday. And then these two really jumped out at me because they're very like peaceful in a way, and they kind of reminded me of
Yes.
like how people talk about like angels and stuff like that. I started coming
Yes.
from that point, and then it just came to my head. I started thinking about like doves and how that's kind of like a symbolic thing, and like the white and the gray kind of remind me of like the wings and stuff. So this is something I just started thinking more in like symbols, and I get the visuals from that point. And sometimes I elaborate on Google with some searches, but I always usually start with like ideas that I brainstorm. So I'm somebody that definitely brainstorms and takes notes, and yeah, jump from that point.
How do you combine your gemstones when you
Uh,
make the bracelet? How do you, because this is a combination of gemstones, right? How do
yes.
you put them all together?
So what I do again, like I was saying, almost like a swatching. I call it a swatching. So basically, I have a variety of like stones that I will lay out on my table. It's kind of hard to see right now as we are kind of like I have my tripod on, but I'll have like an assortment of beads. Like this is just some that I pulled aside, and then I
Uh-huh.
just like work with color combinations, and I see what kind of if I have a certain visual, like again the dove one that I came up with the two color combinations. I'll see what kind of emphasizes a little bit more about the story I want to tell. So I know that with the light blue and then the white with a little bit of gray, it's definitely more soothing. So I worked more with like a silver as opposed to a gold that would kind of contrast a little bit and be a little bit more harsh. So I just play around with like the stones, almost like a color palette a little bit, and just branch from that.
So
Yeah.
more on psychology of color, you mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The psychology of color is kind of what I want to focus more on, in hopes that that could heal somebody, as opposed to being like, oh, this gemstone is known for this healing quality, which is not like scientifically proven or anything, which I'm open-minded to, but I want to be more about fact. So what like these stones made me feel, I kind of wanted to help maybe somebody in that sense, because we all connect to certain colors of things, and we have our own style that differs from each other, or we relate, and it's just a way of kind of like a self-expression thing. And if you have an intuitive connection to a certain color like me with blue, I hope that somehow that will be of benefit for somebody else as well. So that's kind of been my approach with kind of making like a landscape of all these different pieces. So psychology of
There's a
color is the biggest thing for me.
there's one question, Andrew. Is this guitar whispers? So
Yes.
every bracelet has a story for you. Every
Yes.
time you create a bracelet, it
Right.
has a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Like the name that I came up with, I get like the visuals when I hold like the pieces. Certain color combinations give me different vibes, I guess, or like images in my head. Like even this one, I'll pull out this one. This is one I called
Uh,
volcanic moss. It's kind of hard to see like the on the quality of the screen on Instagram, but I have like lava stone right here, and this is
uh-huh.
aventurine, and a lot of people
Uh,
mistake this one to be like jade. It's really similar, but the colors a little bit more deep in the sense that it kind of reminded me of moss. So I was like, what can I? I'm getting the idea of moss and like earthy vibes like that, and I start paying attention to kind of like elements sometimes, like in nature. And then I was like, okay, I'll branch into more of that. And it reminded me like the like lava stone comes from like volcanoes and stuff. So it's kind of like it tells its own story based on the things I kind of make together. And sometimes I also make other pieces that kind of can be like a collection, but they could be sold separately as well. You don't have to buy both. Yeah, so just I usually get a visual. I'll even show you this one here. Like with the color combinations with this
oh,
one,
that's lovely.
thank you. I was inspired by like Cleopatra, and as you look at it, like the colors, kind of like you've seen them in visuals about like that time, and then like the jewelry that they would wear in ancient times, and then like turquoise, that was definitely a big thing like in Egypt. So it's just
Yes.
elements like that that I kind of like start piecing in my head, and then I just kind of go to the source of what my first visuals were in my head, and it's a story kind of on its own in that sense. So yeah, that
Wow.
one's called Patra, and sort of like it's just a little spin off from her name. So
Patra.
Patra,
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra, yeah, but just Patra. So yeah, so I kind
Wow.
of pay homage to like the ideas that I get in my head with the color stories.
What was your biggest challenge so far you've encountered? Is there, when you started, was there a challenge encountered?
um, if I were to summarize it, I would say the like just the concept of time. Timing was a challenge that I had to kind of find time to be more flexible with really honing in on my ideas because I've had Gems of Drew and this idea in my head for like at least a year and a half. Even though I was experimenting with it like 3 years, maybe even 4 years, I definitely wanted to hone in at the right time because I have a full-time job aside from Gems of Drew that I just realized during COVID times I had a little bit more flexibility to really like finalize my ideas because I had these collections sitting around for at least like a good half of them at least for the last half a year or so. But I even started some things before that. But yeah, so I just really finalized during COVID right now in a weird timing. Uh, so
For the meantime, hello, Sandra. Welcome joining in. We just have some technical difficulties. There you go.
yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, yes. So for those who are just joining in, this is Andrew Noble, owner of Gems of Drew. And we're just discussing about the product, the business.
Hi, thanks again, guys. Sorry, I was like, I couldn't hear Teresa, but I saw myself moving. I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, technology, I don't know why. Anyway, but thanks for joining in, everyone, and for listening so far
Give them a
and
quick
going forward.
review because there are some people who just joined in. Welcome back, it says. Welcome back, Andrew, with sound.
Thank you, Guitar Whisper. And thanks again, guys, for joining in. But we were just briefly talking about like how I started, and it all started pretty much with my own personal connection to like jewelry that I would go around kind of on a hunt for to represent like certain style things about myself, just like to represent who I am a little. And then it kind of developed into experimenting with accessories, so like beads and stuff, and gifting them to friends and family. And then I started having more inquiries from like the people who I gave them to, like their friends or just people who would ask about them. And a few people were just like, you should really start something, a shop of your own. And I started like kind of brainstorming from that point. And for the last year and a half or so, I really honed in on like the branding and just the brand identity. But yeah, I've just been kind of figuring it out on my own as that's what I've kind of been doing, like a one-man show, and just piecing things together. And here we are.
And Andrew started it just recently, right? Uh, May, right? End of May? Just recently.
Yeah, I just launched it recently. Yeah, because I remember you were inquiring for a little bit as well, personally, and I was like, it's coming. I had to find like the right moment to really finalize my ideas because the people who are like saying, "Oh, I've seen that you have like photos already done," that like some of my personal friends, stuff like that, and I was like, it's just not right time yet for me because I was working full time, and then made time with the flexibility a little bit of COVID. I know it's weird times, but yeah, it allowed me to kind of just launch it and finalize it. And I was like, I think this is the time, and I just went for it.
Were you ever scared of
Yeah.
starting it in the middle of COVID? Were-
My only concern was definitely about like I know there's been delays with like shipping, and those kind of things. But I still take like safety protocols with like sanitizing, like personally, like wiping down my workspace with like Clorox wipes, stuff like that. But with COVID times, I feel like it's kind of gradual and it feels kind of at a steady pace for me as my business. So I was like, I think it would be an all right time to just kind of test the waters a little bit and see how it all works out. Just like with the shipping and all that, like it's all new for me. I know of like the general idea of how it works, but it was just those things. So the gradual timing, just kind of going
So
with it.
someone's asking, what's the price range and minimum order?
Okay, so that was the thing. I didn't really display like pricing all around because I didn't want people to get confused. My pricing isn't going to jump all around the ladder, but how it generally works is with my gemstone bracelets, if it's mostly gemstones, I like to keep the price point under $30 because I noticed that a lot of people in the marketplace are definitely charging $30 plus, and I want things to still be kind of like accessible for people, especially like with money things and affordability, stuff like that. So when it comes to like the full gemstone bracelets, like for instance, this one here, this is all gemstones. I have one accent bead. This one here is, they call it a diamond cut, which is kind of like a matted, like a brushed look to it. This, each piece would most likely be like $25 because this here is all gemstones. This one here is also gemstones. But then when I jump into ones that are like half made of glass, like this one here, this is half matted black glass and minimal like kind of gemstones here. It jumps around to like $15 to $20. So that's why I have like inquiries so I can kind of explain those things. to people. So that plays a role. And then I also have even more affordable bracelets where I have just like glass and resin pieces. Let me just find you one, for instance. Let me see. I kind of have like a tray where I picked out like the ones that would fit on here. Um, but generally, I'm trying to find one. Sorry, guys. 1 minute here. I have.
Someone said, Space Kitty said, so reasonable, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, I want it to be like kind of accessible for people in a way. And I just thought about like, you know, you kind of want to be happy wearing the pieces. It is made of quality. It has nothing to do fully with like, oh, like might break or something. It's nothing really like that. But yeah, what I was going to say is like with this, for instance, this is all like this is my beaded stuff for the glass beads. I have a collection called Orbit, which is mostly all just glass, and that one's pretty much like $8 to $10. So I definitely start from like $8 and go up to I want to say like $25, and that's like the cutoff range.
How long,
But every piece is kind of made uniquely.
sorry, how long does it take to create this, let's say one bracelet, like this, the one you gave me? How long does it take for you?
Right. So it's been like I said, like a experimental trial and error thing to really hone in on these collections. So that took time, but to these are going to be kind of like recreations, so I can keep my brand kind of on point. It should take me roughly, I'd say like at least 10 minutes to sometimes even like 20, 25 minutes because I kind of made a concrete idea already. But as I expand more on, like, for example, I released some yesterday. Those ones I did, and those took me like a half hour to like an hour, some of them. Especially if I'm making like a set. I'm kind of making kind of like a collection set. That's something that takes me more time to like, again, hone in and finalize an idea. But yeah, then there's also, I just want to throw out there, like I have charms as well. That those are $4. They're separate, so per piece. You can always add that to your pieces. But I want to showcase just like the beads on their own and kind of have some accents on my page to show like just some options you can play with.
So
So
can we
yeah.
customize the bracelet?
I'm open to customizations. I just don't know if that's going to be my forefront. Because it does take a lot more time, and if my time's a little bit more, not like it's not really as flexible in a sense. Kind of pay attention to all that, but there are options. Yes.
One question, do we tell our story and you create the bracelet from our story?
I'm open to those options, but it mostly starts with kind of like the story that I'm creating for my brand. But again, like I'm open to some custom. That's more of like a custom question. I'm open to those things. Yes, like we can talk about those things. It just, yeah, it just takes more time for those things. So that's something I have to think a little bit more into. Because again, I don't want to like just charge people more money and all those things. I'm not really that person. I just want to be able to gift ideas. But yeah, there are options. Just you can always. That's why I have like you can DM me on my Instagram at Gems of Drew, or email me with inquiries, and we can go from there, kind of thing.
Space
Yeah.
Kitty said, I love that idea.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining in.
I, I always ask this to my guests. What advice, because you've been there already, what advice can you give to anyone who's just starting a business in these COVID times? I mean, dreaming about starting a business in these COVID times.
Um, for myself personally, I realized that you really just have to jump on your ideas because the more you sit on it, time kind of passes, kind of like from my own experience. Um, it's best to just hone right in. Again, I keep saying hone in and finalize. Like those are the main things I've realized that, you know, with timing, you need to be able to do those things because if you have that drive and that passion and you feel like it's kind of sparking something, you have to run with it. Like you can't just keep putting it in the back of your head. So I think that's my main message about like advice to somebody who would be probably interested. Yeah, just hone in on your ideas, make it maybe cohesive. Like that's one thing that I want to make sure visually and everything. And yes, just run with it. It's kind of
So
my
it's like when you evolve, your brand evolved too, right? You're like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, don't just talk about it, you have to do it because there will be better rewards just for yourself personally. Like sometimes I even surprise myself a little bit. I'm like, wow, like I did all that in this amount of time. Like for instance, launching all this, um, I really weaved through my photos and stuff that I've taken. I'm like, what do I want to say? Again, I honed right in and I knew that I didn't want it to be completely all over the place. I wanted there to be an undertone of a brand identity that you can kind of recognize when you're on my page, because all these pieces have a variety of colors. So it's like, I just thought about all of that and like my brand name, and just like the quality materials that I kind of like sourced out on my own. Um, and yeah, just trial and error, and I just went with it. So it's
So
kind of,
you have different,
thank you, Guitar with
well said.
Thanks.
So you have different collection, right? You have different collection. Yeah. How
Yes.
many collection do you have to choose from?
Um, I have right now 16 to 17 of them. I think I want to say 16 because I wrote them down yesterday. But again, I'm kind of in the works of some other ones. So I'm trying to just keep going a little bit. But I have a total of 16. That's what it is. I have it on
Wow,
my chart here.
that
Yeah, and literally, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. My Dove collection. It's something again that I was playing around with, like my beads and kind of like working with color combinations. Um, I came up with the visual of that one, and same with Serpentine. I had the idea of Serpentine kind of playing around in my head for like at least 2 weeks now, and I started playing around, and I came up with them yesterday. So yeah.
can you read
Oh, we
that
have a
question?
question here. What's your favorite collection or most meaningful for you? That was something that was kind of a hard one because I do get that question in general. But to be honest, I think my favorite one, I'd have to say, is the Dove collection. Um,
Can
the
you
reason
show
being,
me?
and again, that's something that's new. Yeah, let me show you. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Here, I'll show you my tray first, and then I'll talk about the Dove one, just so you guys can see. Like, I even have like I brainstorm ideas. This is like a logo I came up with, the Gems of Drew, as you see. Like I designed that myself.
Wow,
And then I put like the names in pen that are kind of swirling in my head. So this one, for instance, it's kind of hard to see on this tray. Sorry, guys, limited space. But Serenity, I definitely want to work with like rose quartz, white jade, and stuff. I started naming them off on here, and then I was like Serenity, Tranquility. Like I literally just start from that point first. But before I made my Dove one, I'll just answer this first. I think my favorite one was Volcanic Moss. It just felt very earthy. I really related to like the green tones. It reminded me of plants. It reminded me of just again like earth in general, like lava stone. And I was always kind of like fascinated with like ancient times, and it feels very like that.
it's very
So
organic.
yeah, exactly. So it has more of that organic vibe to it.
Yeah,
But yes, as I was saying, I started with the idea of volcanic moss being the original one that really personally struck me. But as I was saying earlier in this chat, I originally started wanting blue tone gems because I really connected with the blue tone. So then I found this, like I made this piece literally yesterday, and this is the one that made me like super like I'm just feel very great about it. It feels very peaceful. This is the Dove
yes,
collection,
it's
and
very
yeah,
light.
it's like and
The
all my pieces
color.
are kind of like thank you. They're very flexible. My pieces. I find you can wear them dressed up, dressed down, like casually, or again like
That is awesome.
I felt like that was the one I needed. So
Well, Andrew, that's so awesome. I love your collection.
thank
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much
much.
for sharing your story in creating your Gems of Drew and adjusting your small business in COVID times. And for everyone, oh,
Oh, we have a
one more
question.
question. Andrew, where can we see the collection to choose from?
Definitely on my Instagram right now at Gems of Drew. That's kind of the whole assortment there that I've start, and I update that usually first. But I'm planning on in the very near future to open my Etsy shop. But again, it's just about like again, it is COVID times, and I don't want to jump in on the weird timing for shipping. So I'm just taking it in stride. But it's all with DMs right now or email. It's all on my Instagram page.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any last word, Andrew? Anything you
I
want?
just want to say I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that's been telling me for a while to like really branch out and try it. And for the people tuning in right now, even and like sticking through this whole chat, even with technical issues, just really want to say thank you. And I hope that my bracelets and stuff will make you feel good just wearing them and just being able to connect with it and find a way to represent you.
I,
Yes,
Andrew,
Teresa.
I
One
can't
of my
believe this
originals.
is 3 years already. I'm still wearing it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm
Amazing.
so happy. The durability. And you used to wear it like every day with your watch even. And I was like, Teresa, I'm somebody that overthinks. So at all costs, I'm like, I double up the strands, I'll say, just for that extra safety precaution. Again, it's not like any of my pieces have broke, to be honest. I haven't had anything like break on me. Even with the people that I've gifted them to, that I know sometimes wear them like almost every day, I haven't ran into any issues. The only issue I ever ran into was sizing. So there are things to talk about with that, which we can talk about with the DMing and all that if you want to inquire about a bracelet. But yeah, so that was the only thing I had to do. I just had to rework the sizing and the proportions of my designs. So,
Thank you so
but
much, Andrew.
thank
Thank you
you so
so
much,
much.
Teresa.
You're an
Thank
inspiration.
you.
And
Aw, everybody is an inspiration, and I appreciate just even hearing that. You too, Teresa. Like, so positive. We need more people like that in the world. Bringing the sense of community
And again,
together.
to everyone,
Thank
thank you
you.
for sharing your time with us. And stay tuned on our next discovery of small business in COVID times. Again, let's support small business. Support small business. And of course, be
Aw,
safe. Be safe.
yes,
Take care. And
that's
salamat.
right.
Thank you. Talk to you
Aw,
later.
thank you guys so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.